I'd say my pick, and Andrei brought it up before, it has to be the Slayer album, Raining Blood. You know, we can talk about it at length. The energy, the production, which is superior to anything you had heard ever in 1986. The track list, the rawness.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that we can talk at length, because we've already been talking longer than the album actually is, because that's less than 30 minutes, which is pretty crazy.
You can, anything about it, you guys all know about it. Every thrash metal lover is gonna know about Raining Blood. I think for me it's the ultimate thrash album. It's the best. It's hard to argue. I can't anything else. Just play the record.
No, for sure. I'm gonna
play the record and look at the.
And by the way, JP, look at that record again and look at the back there. What as a lover of Belgian beer, what stands out for you?
Stella Artois.
Exactly. So it's an interesting fun fact. So I believe that picture, and I could be wrong, but I believe that picture was taken at the Heavy Sound Festival in Belgium, which was in the early 80s, 85 probably when that picture was taken. This was I think it's Young Metallica played that festival. It was a small at the time it was big for metal in Belgium, which was underground. There was only there was like 5,000-6,000 people there, and there's a really great picture of the same photo shoot where they were posing with the mayor of this little tiny, town in the middle of nowhere, Belgium. It was like this old guy in an old suit with these young guys. Unfortunately, that year that they played the festival, there were some of the metal fans who, at night after the festival was over, continued to party in the local cemetery and exhumed a few graves, and that was the end of that festival. So that's really unfortunate, because Manowar played there, Dio played there, Metallica played there. It was 3 years that it happened, and then that was it. But I think you make some good points. From the opening scream of Angel of Death. I mean, that's just such an iconic scream. And it's interesting that, this album is less than 30 minutes long. But the last song, Raining Blood, which, I think is just such a phenomenal song, is quite long. So if you think about it, the average length of all the other songs is very short. There's obviously also like Postmortem, that is hardly a full song. But here's a fun fact, by the way. At the time, the entire album was, shorter than one half of the cassette, and so they just put the entire album on both sides of the cassette. And they actually had more. They actually had more material already ready, but it was actually Rick Rubin, the producer, who said an album maximum has 10 songs, and so you cap it at 10. Rick Rubin's production at Def Jam Records, predominantly hip hop in the 80s, but then took on some metal, and everybody now knows all the great albums that he worked on. The production is really what sets apart Raining Blood for me, because it is so clear, it's so high quality, but at the same time, it didn't take away the rawness of this. Because when I then look back at Exodus, Bonded by Blood, for example, if you would take that through such a production, it would probably lose the charm of Bonded by Blood. The same with Kill 'Em All. Kill 'Em All is a phenomenal album. I think it's still one of my favorite albums of Metallica. But if that was properly produced, it would lose part of the magic. And I find that very interesting. So yeah, for me as well, Raining Blood. But it's clear to sit where we sit on who is the ultimate thrash band. Slayer is the response to that. Let's be honest.
I'm gonna add a little bit of fuel to the fire, just because I'm a dick. So by choosing Rain and Blood as the ultimate thrash album, are you guys implying that some of the mid-tempo and slower songs are not really a proper definition of thrash.
Maybe. For me, I think so, to be honest. Like, and that's also like, you know,
Yeah, that's
when I was
fair.
thinking about these things for the first time, one of the things that, the one thing that is missing on Raining Blood, but everything else I think is so good that it kind of balances out not having this one particular thing, is thrash. Although predominantly, you know, a lot of the thrash metal albums, even today still, they tend to talk about, you know, society falling apart. In the 80s, you could clearly tell a lot of these albums had like this scare of a Cold War era with potential nuclear warfare, right? A lot of the albums are about a post-apocalyptic life. There's a lot of death and gloom on there, but one element that most other thrash bands and albums also have is that fun piece, and that's what I miss with Slayer. So, you know, I like the fact that almost every thrash band has that song about just thrashing out to thrash music or drinking beer and partying, and that is one element that I think is missing. That's like the one objection that I have, because if somebody asks me to describe thrash, the party element of it, the moshing part of that of it, has to be part of it, right? Because thrash metal really brought punk's moshing, or the pit from punk and hardcore to metal, right? Before thrash, there was no mosh pit on, you know, early power metal or what have you. So that's a piece that I think is missing with Slayer. I think Slayer is taking itself always too seriously, and I think thrash shouldn't always take itself too seriously, because thrash fans don't do that. You know, we like to drink beer, we like to party. That's why, I mean, I'm wearing a t-shirt of Municipal Waste, which is like, okay, that's maybe more crossover than pure thrash, but still, they bring that party element to it.
Municipal Waste is gonna fuck you up. Municipal Waste is gonna fuck you up. Municipal Waste is gonna fuck you up. Municipal Waste is gonna fuck you up.
The ability to take a step back and party and don't take yourself too seriously, I think, is something that's cool about thrash. Creator does that on some songs. Destruction does that. The Tankard only does that. But Anthrax does that a lot. Overkill does that.
Too much for Anthrax.
Sure. Because here's the thing. The three bands that hardly ever did that are Slayer, Metallica, and Megadeth.
Yeah.
Like, there's no party songs. Except with
Yeah.
Metallica on the Kill 'Em All album, right? There's a couple of like, there's a couple, but once they became serious, so that's my beef.
Yeah, no, you are right, and yeah, I think Metallica has just Whiplash, which is literally about
Metal Militia also a little bit.
That's true too. Slayer, you know what? I've never actually stopped to think about that, but yeah, I think you're right. I think Slayer is definitely one of those very image driven. Like they have their mantra and they stick by it no matter what. I find that in the last 10 years, when you see them live, they have loosened up a little bit. I find Araya he's having more of a kind of loose approach to it on stage. He's joking around. He's not all about, hey guys, we're fucking Slayer.
Alright, so if you like that video, click right here to see more content like it and subscribe to the channel.